All right, we're at the Hangout, bro. What's happening?
How you doing?
I am doing lovely. How you doing?
Excellent, excellent.
Excellent.
Anybody here? Where's all the people? I don't see anybody saying hello. Are we
Oh,
online?
they're
There we
they're
are.
coming. They're coming. Let me get the comments out there. Kimberly's here. Lisa's here. Brad Van Nice,
Oh,
my
Brad.
brother. In fact, let me throw this up real quick. Brad, watch the bottom of the screen for me, my friend. Let's see if we can't put this up there right now. Who else we got in here? We got Darren, Blair. They're all coming. Jennifer Werner, what's up, everyone?
There we go.
And Veronica's here. We love you, Veronica, as
Not sweet.
always.
Watching from home.
That's it. So they're all coming up. So, hey, we're back in the Hangout Live. We've got another week to put on the books, man. Robbie, this has been crazy, brother. This has been, what, 10 months now we've been doing this? 11 months?
Yep, 10 months. Yep.
10 months?
We're about,
Crazy.
what, once a week. So that's what, about 40 episodes now?
Yeah, we've done a
So,
lot. We've done
or
a
more,
lot.
because there's 5 weeks in some of them. So probably a little more. We're up there.
Right. So we did happen to have a call earlier today talking about our Twitch transition, and that's going to be coming up very soon. I'm thinking mid-February, late February,
That's
somewhere
what
in
they're
there.
talking somewhere in there, mid-February.
Yeah. So we'd love for you guys to join us over on the or on the Twitch channel, and it's Rams TV, Rock Against MS, which is a fantastic organization, and we're delighted to be part of it. So all of the months of teasing that we're going to go to Twitch, it's actually starting to take place. So
Hey, it's hurry up and wait. That's the business. It's not just the music business. It's the business. It's
it
the way.
is
Hurry up,
apps.
wait, quick, wait, sit down, shut up, wait, hurry up.
Right. So hey, we've got to thank our sponsors down here at the bottom of the screen. You see them: Backbeat Music, Full Spectrum CBD, and Media Jaw, taking care of us each and every week. We love you guys, and I couldn't do this show without you, obviously. All right, so I'm excited about tonight's
Yeah,
guest,
yeah,
man.
Robbie. Ferb, notice I got a better camera. You the one you recommended. Looks
Right?
better when it's clear. Yeah.
Tara, what's up? How you
Hey,
doing?
Tara. There.
All right,
So
so
tonight on
Robbie,
the Hangout, who do we got?
hey,
The bass
we
player, the man.
we've got Bjorn, man. I
Bjorn.
mean,
Isn't
Bjorn
it
is,
cool?
dude. He's played with members of every band ever imaginable. Obviously, the guy is extremely talented. And yes, Darren, I do like wine, so you know. All right, brother. I say we bring him in with us and let's have some fun together. What do you think?
Yes, absolutely.
All right. I love how you do.
I know I
Yeah,
can't see, I
just
can't
leave him
read it.
on, bro. Just leave him on. It's all good, man.
You know how much it sucks? Because it's just, yeah, whatever.
What's going on, brother?
What's happening?
What are
Hey,
you doing?
I'm in lockdown like
Yeah.
everybody else.
Dude,
It's,
I'm so tired of this crap, man.
right?
Right? You guys got it worse out there in your part of the country than I've got here in Texas, but
Yeah.
I think it's going to go all the way around, don't you?
Yep.
Yep. It's
Looking
been
that way.
coming up on
Yeah.
a year of being home, right? I mean, it's getting close.
I know. Can you believe
Dude,
that?
it's
A year
been
of insanity.
February 14th was my last gig coming up and after that it's just been home. Hey, I'm home. What are you doing
Yep.
today? I don't know. I'm at home.
I know. Big adjustment. People
Yeah.
have to too. What are you doing? Well, I'm working in the studio and taking walks and
Yeah.
going to the grocery store but yeah.
We're living
Nice day.
parallel lives there.
Hey, Jennifer.
right. I think we're all in that. The
Yeah.
big deal is last night we had to go out to the tower, and it almost felt like a mini road trip, like a vacation for me to go to the tower, which was an hour away. I'm like, woohoo! We get to
Right.
go somewhere. So the whole family went.
To the tower, the radio
Exciting. Yay.
The radio tower, yeah,
tower. Exciting.
yeah. Darren says he wants to go on a wine tour, leave wine in every room. Tour ends at the living room.
There we go. Not a bad idea.
I'm down, Darren. Hell yeah,
Great.
brother. Hell yeah. So, brother, let's take it back to way, way, way back to 1971 in Sweden.
Uh-oh.
Oh, yeah.
What happened?
I don't remember.
I don't remember that part.
Ask my parents.
Right. So born in Sweden. How do you say the name of the town? Because
Oh, it's a weird spelling even in Swedish. It's Växjö.
Vecqua.
It's like basically road lake. The roads met by this lake, and that's where it's like an old trade town. You know, where people came to do the trade. You know, back in the day, and then they had a big cathedral. It's still there. It was built in the I don't want to say. I think it's from the 12 or 1400s, but it's been there like renovated, obviously, many times, but it's still standing.
Wow, brother. Damn.
Little town, barely 100,000 people, but so straight from there to Los Angeles. So
really, you didn't move anywhere else before that. You lived there the whole time.
Yep. So
and you moved to Los Angeles in 1993. It's the same year I moved to Los Angeles.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. What month did you move here?
March.
I was here in April, so we were here around the same time.
Where'd you come from?
Tucson.
Tucson. Okay. So
yeah. And then I ended up moving to Torrance. I was in Torrance for 5 years, and then I went to the Valley, and then ended up in Orange County, where I'm at now.
Cool. Right on.
It's interesting just for people listening that we both have a mutual friend, or had a mutual friend. Her name was Deborah Monique. In fact, I was looking in my phone. I still have her contact information. She passed away. I don't know, how long has it been?
I don't want to say 10 years. It's probably been about close to 10 years. No. Maybe let's say maybe 6 or 7, maybe something.
Really,
like that.
I was thinking maybe it's been 10, but I'm not really sure. But it was interesting because I met her in the 90s, and she would talk about you. And she goes, "You guys have got to meet." She kept telling me, "You got to meet, you got to meet, you got to play, you got to meet, whatever." And then we finally met after she died. It was almost like she went, "Okay, finally," you know.
Right.
And I don't even remember where it was at, but I remember we talked for quite a while about Deborah and stuff. And you know, it was a sad thing, but it was interesting that we finally did meet after she'd been recommending that we meet or hook up or do something after all this time. And hey, we haven't jammed together yet, but I'm sure it'll happen.
We will. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Come on, man. You guys got to jam together. You played with everybody else under the sun. So
we have no excuses anymore.
Right? Let's take to 1984, brother. You pick up a set of sticks, sit down at a kit. You went to drums first.
Well,
correct?
Did I learn the drums perfectly?
Or said you went to drums first.
Oh, I went to drums first. Sorry. I did, yeah, and briefly, and it was sort of in a way, natural instrument for me. I mean, obviously, I could tell that, you need a lot of coordination and all that stuff, but also need to not annoy your neighbors. And that's something I realized really quick. And, they're giving me weird looks, and I'm like, okay, this is, well, obviously, my parents, I think I was playing a lot when they weren't home and stuff like that, but they probably would have had it. Obviously you got to play at certain hours and things like that. And I kind of wanted to be running around on stage and be more mobile and all that stuff anyways, be like more up front and all that stuff. So bass seemed to suit me. Like everybody wanted to play guitar or drums, all my buddies. And, but I was like, I didn't understand why nobody picked the bass. I don't think people could hear they didn't know they heard the bass. They thought everything was guitar or drums. They couldn't pick it out. I think that's what and obviously too, like people looked at the guitar heroes, Hendrix and the Van Halen, and wanted to be that. So I get it.
Absolutely, bro.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So were your parents musical? Was there a lot of music going on at the house? Were they?
Not much at all, to be honest with you. I mean, my mom would noodle around on the keyboards for a short while, and so did my brother. And my younger brother picked up the guitar, and he was more dedicated. He took lessons and stuff like that, and vocal lessons, and he was probably the one that's the most active. But I didn't have any, like my older brother or my parents weren't the ones that pulled me into music. Like you hear some people, they grew up around music and people playing. It was more my buddies would listen to music together, and they started playing instruments, and my neighbor was playing, and he had a punk band across the street, and one thing led to another, so I just sort of got my interest from just watching and listening to music and watching bands and stuff like that.
So that's cool.
Badass.
Cool.
Badass, brother. So you moved to LA, obviously, to be part of the scene. What was it like when you moved there in '93?
Well, it was pretty bad timing because it was like, yeah, you heard of the Sunset Strip and, all obviously I grew up with the Shredders and, the Ingves and the Van Halen and, Mr. Big and all these, those are the bands I liked. And then I moved here and it was like you dropped a nuclear bomb on Sunset Strip. It was pretty depressing. And a lot of bands were like, well, now we heard that they signed, different bands. So everybody started playing grunge music that really weren't. I don't think they were really interested in grunge. They just played the actors they thought they were supposed to. So there was a lot of that going on. Jumping on the bandwagon kind of thing, and that was kind of sad to me. But I just kind of stuck to it and just said, hey, I'm just going to do what I do and see what happens.
There you go.
But it was rough. And I started doing, I went on tour with Quiet Riot briefly in '95. When I got back, I was like, well, I'm just going to start working as a musician and take it from there and record and do gigs and see what happens. Just become a working bass player. I think it kind of distracted me too from how depressing the whole scene was. It wasn't like you can get in a band and play the Whiskey Go-Go and get signed. I mean, those years were past. So
yeah. It was actually, yeah. I mean, I was obviously came out at the same time as you, and it was just like I used to come out because I was in Tucson. I used to come out with a band, and we played here a lot. So I saw the scene when it was just like nutty, crazy, and then you go out at that time. It was like, I mean, it was dead. Hollywood scene was dead. It wasn't like the streets were packed with people. The clubs were empty for the most part. I mean, it was the whole scene was just. It was going through a radical transformation, and it was a rough time for a lot of people.
Yeah.
So was that during the time of Rock Lochner, or was that Big Jelly, Robbie?
Oh no, that was long before Big Jelly. Yeah, it was Rock Lochner, my brother, and whatever. Well, he had left the band by the time we were playing here, but yeah. So yeah, so the scene was just it was rough. It was rough. I mean, I would go out and see some bands play, and they just weren't drawing people in. The bands that were bringing big crowds weren't bringing people in.
Yeah, I remember I was the first year I moved here. I was in the band, and we were pretty dedicated with the flyers, and we were handing out flyers a couple of times a week, and it was that whole scene was dying off too.
Yeah,
I remember going behind the Whiskey and the Roxy on a Tuesday night or Wednesday night, and it would be like 2 cars in the parking lot and maybe 5 people in the audience. I mean, it was out of control. Very depressing.
It was a sad time. There's no question, because it used to be just packed. It was just if the club wasn't totally packed, the streets were packed from the Whiskey all the way up to what was Gazzari's. I don't know what now is the Key Club or something. I don't even know if it's around or whatever, but that whole strip just jam packed all the way past the Roxy, past the Rainbow, all the way up to the end. It was just this huge party, and there was none of that, nothing.
Yeah, I remember visiting back my first time in LA, visiting end of '91, and I kind of saw the tail end of it.
Yeah,
like but it had already faded. But it wasn't as bad as '93, that's for sure. But I got a little taste of it, kind of like the way people dressed and all that stuff was more, grunge hadn't really kicked in yet, fully, So it was, but yeah.
Not a grunge fan personally, so
right, yeah, I hear you.
In fact, when I'm in the studio, I purposely, when I see Nirvana or anything come up, I go delete.
I sort of learned to like them. It wasn't. I kind of don't have a problem with those bands, and the music itself. It was the fact that the industry decided to replace everything with that. It was kind of not a natural evolution kind of thing. It was just they could have easily lived side by side with everything else, and it would have been just fine, I think. But
right.
And things hit hard though for all those bands. Were on really hard times for quite a while, and probably, I mean, it happens through every turn of music, right? I mean, look at Elvis trying to keep the Beatles out of the country because he knew, you know, the new thing was coming in, and it just happened. When Zeppelin came around, all those bands disappeared. Van Halen came in, same thing, but that whole scene was ushered in and lasted a long time. So when it finally hit the bottom, it hit hard. I mean, it hit hard for a number of years, and now look at, I mean, people are doing great again.
Absolutely.
Touring and can make money. People are out watching shows, and you see the kids that were watching the bands back in the days, and cool.
Pick back up, absolutely. Yeah, it's nice to see how bands that have, you know, been around 40 years are still touring and stuff like that. It's quite interesting. Right. And then the young generation's picking up and digging it too. You know, the kids and the grandkids and all this stuff.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
Cool.
All right, so we've got some questions coming up. I'm going to pop them up here on the screen for you, brother, and see what you think here. Did you question at the point as whether you would continue with music, or was there a plan B?
There was no plan B, and I think that's sort of necessary. I think
that's
it's such a weird, crazy thing to throw yourself into, anyways. But it's a really good question. I had never questioned myself. I thought of it because I heard other people did, and I go like, "Am I questioning?" You know, I never did. I was like, "This is." I just realized it's really who I am, more than what I do, kind of thing. It's just, I think you have to be a little nutty to be in this business. So I think I fit in that sense.
And the thing is, with a plan B, when you have a plan B, it becomes your plan A.
Right.
It's just the way it is, because you're ready to fall back on this, and parents would tell people all the time, you know, you got to have a plan B. It's like, oh, so you're saying I need a plan A and get rid of my dream. Okay, got it. That's go for what you want to do and let the universe provide.
Absolutely. And you know, I see all these people too. I mean, going to college is great, but like I see people with really high student loans and that they can't pay back, and they're in big trouble, and they're not working with what they went to school to do, and it's just all that crazy stuff too. But yeah, I mean, getting an education is good too, and you know, studying and doing your homework in high school and all that stuff, and college and learning stuff is always good. So it's good to study marketing and business and languages, even as a musician. So I mean, nothing wrong with it, but yeah, I totally agree. Like, if you have a plan B, I think subconsciously you tend to lean on it.
Yep.
And it becomes plan A, like you said.
Yep.
So Jennifer Berner said, what was it like playing with Ted Nugent in the band Soul Sign?
Well, our singer was actually, and this is something I found out after I got to know him, he doesn't really talk about it. He was originally, he's going to hate me for saying this, but he was originally a bass player. And I don't remember how he met Ted, but when Ted realized that he could sing really well, he hired him as a bass player / singer. Then he realized that, hey, I don't want to be known as a bass player. I just want to sing. So he put the bass down and picks it up now from time to time, and actually does some work playing the bass, and he's a good bass player. So
really,
it's yeah, but he played with Ted back in 1984. So,
wow,
we can say that we have an ex-Ted Nugent member.
There you go. There you go. A lot of people are remarking about the grunge era. I think we started something in the chat feeds there. Don Wardell says, I just like the flannels and the ripped jeans. We've got some other people saying, I don't dislike grunge. It's okay. I find it depressing. I think whatever your thoughts are of the early 90s and mid 90s, it definitely is a strong, you have a strong opinion one way or the other, whether you liked it, disliked it, or you hated the fact that it killed what I consider, the best rock and roll ever hit the planet. So.
Well, I'd say that the more time goes on, I appreciate a lot of the elements in grunge music more and more. you know, I think I kind of turned away from it on purpose because it sort of reminded me of a very depressing time. So that's pretty much it. Yeah. So, but
yeah, I think we think a lot alike on that area, but because it was a depressing time in a lot of ways, but I also look at it like any era, there's good and bad music in all the eras. So there was certainly good music. I think for me, the only thing that struck me weird about that time is everybody became so anti-80s, as if you had remotely anything to do with the 80s, you were just like scoffed at. And it's like, you know what? And then some people still try and hold on to that. And I'm like, excuse me, the 90s are over. Get over it. You know?
Yeah. Oh, totally. And I think that was especially in the United States because and I realized after a few years that grunge had hit Europe and it hit South America, it hit worldwide, but it didn't wipe everything else out. Like if you look at hard rock and heavy metal in Europe and South America, it almost got bigger than ever in the 90s and all the festivals and all that stuff. That was quite interesting. And me growing up in Sweden, not really, it was hard for bands to get signed. And in the 90s, there's a lot of European labels popping up and all these great bands got a chance to shine and do something with their songs and everything. So quite interesting how in one part of the world is like this and then the other part is like that. You know, just.
Did you ever get to know John Norm? He's from Sweden, isn't he?
I did, yeah. I hung with him a few times, many years ago, and I saw him briefly 2, 3, 4 years ago. But yeah, I don't see him very much. You know, whenever they come around to play and stuff like that.
Yeah, they played.
They're nice guys. Yeah. Great band, nice guys.
They headlined M3. That might have been were you there the year they headlined M3?
I was actually. Yeah, I stayed. Okay. I stayed an extra day just to see. You know, just the second day was when all the great bands played, or even more great bands than the first day. So.
Yeah, we were on that day. That's I'm sure we talked that day. I don't.
We did,
but I'm sure we did. You know.
Yeah, you did some. You and Jack did some unplugged things too.
I think the time we did the acoustic one. Okay.
I think it was even like the night before it even started.
Yeah, we did. That's right. Okay.
Yeah, it's been like 6 years almost already.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Damn.
Yeah, I know. Strange.
I can't wait to get things back on a Strange. All right, we got a question here for you, brother. Let's see here. Who did you play with that at first you thought maybe you wouldn't like, but ended up actually really liking?
Wow. Was there ever such a thing? The other way around.
Let's do that.
It's hard to say. Like I don't have too many of those actually. I a lot of times won't probably play with them in the first place if I don't think I like it. But I don't. There's people that people don't like, and I tend to want to form my own opinion about people. So, and that's a good thing. And that's happened where, people go, well, this or that person, is like that. And I'm like, well, I think I might get along with them. Just, I just don't want to have any
conception.
Yeah, exactly. So.
It's funny because I'll do the same thing. And I've had that happen once in a while. I won't mention who it was as a drummer. And they were telling me, oh, this guy's a douche. And then I was like, you know what? It'll be fine. It'll be cool. And then I met him and it was like, wow, this guy's a douche. Right. Holy cow, you were right. But I wanted to be able to form that myself, And I did.
I think I met that same drummer.
Oh, you probably have.
I think I have. No, I think it goes across the board. There's been a lot of people I've worked with that they say, oh, this guy's a complete D-bag. And then you meet him, and I'm like, I really kind of like the dude. And then vice versa. The people you really think everybody likes is actually a D-bag. So I think that kind of goes both ways.
It does. All right. Absolutely.
Absolutely. Let's see here. People are saying that they want to know what the switch was, what made you really switch. So obviously you wanted to run around on stage and be more of a front man. Did you ever think about going to vocals?
I thought of it. I mean, it went through my mind a couple of times, but I don't know. It was sort of I guess, I mean, I'd sing in choirs, and we sang a lot in school as a kid. So it wasn't like I didn't think I could sing or anything like that. It was more of a maybe a big thing to take on because you're the front man, and all the eyes are on you, and you know you're I don't know. It could have been a little bit of a confidence thing too. But I thought of it through my career that, well, maybe I should have become a singer, or maybe I should start singing more.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, the other side of that is it helps control your own destiny. If you're singing, you're writing the music, there's a lot to be said for being able to control, instead of going, I got to rely on this singer. The singer's not going to whatever, then you're shit out of luck. The singer quits or whatever.
Absolutely.
So, yeah. I know what you're saying, though, with like being the singing position, man, that's hard because you go to different climates, and, if you're sick or whatever happens, I can get up on stage and play sick. But to sing lead vocals, man, that is not easy. Physically, it's hard. That's a hard gig.
Yeah, and singing and playing too. I think that's the main reason why I haven't done a lot of singing and playing. It's I don't know. It's I can sing when I'm playing simple bass lines. Once the bass line is intricate, it's a whole different. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's almost like the vocals will suffer or the bass playing will suffer, and I'm pretty uncomfortable with that.
Yeah.
Like I know people like Geddy Lee do it just fine, but
right,
it's an art to it, I think.
So you brought up confidence. I mean, do you still get stage fright before taking the stage? Have you suffered from that? Anxiety levels or?
Not too much, and I think what somebody said a long time ago, when they said, if you know the material really well, most of the nervousness goes away. And whoever said that, there was more than one person, I think, reading interviews and things like that. They were right. I think that's what it boils down to. Nervousness comes from insecurity, I think. But it's good to be a little nervous, like a good nervousness.
Absolutely.
I think. If you don't feel anything, that could be a bad sign too. Because part of that nervousness, I think, is excitement. Yeah, and you never know what the night's going to be. You play the same songs, but it's a new stage, it's a new audience. Anything could happen. Somebody can throw, tomatoes on you.
So, Robbie, I think we started something, brother. Jonathan Brannon says, get everybody 3 guesses of who the drummer was that was a total douchebag.
Oh, no.
And the first 2 don't count.
Oh.
I'll say who I'm thinking, but I'm not nervous that way. So
I won't say it just because I won't say it, but
right.
It's just not for me to say. I mean, you might be perfectly fine with somebody out there somewhere.
We might want to have him on the show sometime. I don't know. All right, Brenda Preston wants to know: are there any particular kind of venues that make you uneasy? Maybe more intimate or larger venues?
The larger ones sometimes I don't like, and I think one of the instruments that suffer the most in large venues is the bass guitar, partially because a lot of engineers don't know how to engineer it. That's my opinion, but they don't know how to handle the low end, and it gets all muddy and stuff. And also the big halls and the big even outdoor festivals, it's like you're so far even from the first row, and smaller venues, it's more intimate. I like to be closer to people, and it usually sounds better too, and I know that it typically sounds better for the audience too, and the stage sound is more controlled too. So any audience that I mean, the packed venue is I'm more comfortable in than if it's not packed. That's another thing.
Yeah, that's so true. It's something about the energy, and there's just more of an excitement.
Yeah.
It's interesting that you say that, because I always think, people ask, you like a bigger venue or a smaller venue? I'm always like, of course, a bigger venue. Who doesn't want to play a bigger venue? However, for what you said is correct, though. I know for me personally, I like when it's packed and people are up to the stage and just jam packed, because then it's just so different. The performance, everything just feels so much better.
Yeah.
So that's really cool comment that you made, because it made me think, you know what, you're right. Small venues, provided they're up on you, it's almost like if you're into basketball or something like NCAA tournament, when they let the kids out on the floor right around the versus everybody's out way away. Hey, you know.
Yeah, you sort of feel disconnected to a big portion of the audience, and you know, everybody's closer, feels more solid, more intact, you know, kind of thing. So absolutely,
yeah, totally true.
Absolutely. All right, Jennifer Berner wants to know, how did Rock and Roll Fantasy Camp choose you as the Rockstar Counselor?
Well, obviously they want to have people that have played with big artists or big bands, but also someone who has a lot of experience as an educator. It helps too. So I've done a lot of clinics, and I've done a lot of private lessons and lessons at schools and things like that through the years. So the combination, I think, obviously it's exciting just to get a guy in that, you know, has a name, but if that's only it, sometimes it's not enough. But if you have both, you know, you end up doing a few of them. I've done, I don't know, 6 or 7 of them, but yeah, it's a lot of fun.
That's pretty
nice,
cool.
brother.
Yeah.
Nice. I'm going to trade places with you here on the camera, so when the comments come up, they're not blocking your face. They can block my face. I'm fine with that, but we need you up there looking pretty. All right, so
I know about that.
Well, hey, you know, you got to take what you can get, right?
Yeah. I'm all COVID beard, COVID hair. You know, all the hair salons are closed. I mean, you know, my excuse at least.
Yeah.
I don't know. Robbie's been seeing some hairstylists. Look at that hair. You don't
I got
that kind of highlighting.
Once they opened up, I went in and I'll cut my hair because it was getting ratty, getting long.
Yeah, but I went one time in 10 months.
Yeah,
about 5 months ago.
Right. I went in November, I think. So it's been recent.
Yeah, it has been recent. So as a fan of music and somebody who promotes concerts, dude, I prefer the small venues. Obviously, it's a lot more intimate. You feel like you get more feedback from the band. You feel like you're more part of the show. I think that's what makes some of the big bands that play the big stages more successful. I'm going to switch genres for a moment and go with Garth Brooks. He really takes in account that the person sitting the furthest away seat from that stage, he wants to make them feel like they're part of that show and feel intimate with them. And that's hard. A lot of bands miss that opportunity to where they really need to focus on that. So a small venue is always really nice. How do you feel about that? I mean, when you're playing the bigger arenas and stuff, are you really focusing on that back area, the high seats, the cheap seats?
Not real. I mean, I try to, but like you look up sometimes with the lights, if it's like the balcony seating or the bleachers,
nothing.
The bleachers, whatever. It's hard to even see them. It's just completely pitch black. Sometimes I don't even know how many people are up on the second, what do you call it, like the balcony, whatever, like in the theater, because I can't even see them.
Yeah.
So it's hard. I mean, I know they're there, but I try to look, and sometimes, but it's you're doing the show too, and each venue is different, so you're just used to doing the show, and you tend to look at the people down here, and sometimes, well, you kind of tend to forget about those people in a sense. Really, the only faces a lot of times you can really see are the first few rows, regardless of the size of the venue. So those are the people you can make eye contact with. So,
right.
But yeah.
So you've played with so many people and so many legends. One of my favorite vocalists you got to play with, Robbie, you just did a song with him, is Robin McCauley.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It seems like an incredible human being. Obviously,
yeah,
still has an amazing voice. Mm-hmm. Ultra talented. We need to get him on this show. But tell me a little bit about, playing with Robin and Yngwie and some other guys that you played with.
Robin's a great guy. We're good friends. And he, well, like you said, he he still sings really well. He better than ever probably. He takes really good care of himself, and he's real active still. And I got to meet Robin, I think back in 2003, 2004, something like that. Friend of mine that I worked with briefly before asked me if I was interested in joining a band that they were forming, and we formed a band. We started writing, we were recording. They had already started recording when I joined them, but then we went out and played shows as the Robin McCauley Band, the same lineup, and we did, obviously Macaulay Schenker songs, and we did some UFO and things like that too. But that was a lot of fun. He was great to work with, and real class act, and also how he treats people, and as a friend and as a bandmate. And it's interesting because a lot of that has been my experience most of the time. Not every band I've been in, obviously, but a lot of the more successful people, I should say, are a lot of times have a better. Robin's a great example of that. He's extraordinary, but even some other people, almost the more successful people are, the better they treated me, which is ironic, Really? And I think some of it is also they have nothing to prove, and tend to maybe not be as jealous, or whatever it could be. People that are decent players but haven't had success, so they seem to be very bitter a lot of times.
Yeah.
So for people that are climbing the ladder, keep climbing. It only gets better. That's my experience. So.
Yeah.
Right. Absolutely.
See, I think there's a lot of truth in that for sure. And like Robin, I did work with him briefly. He actually came over here and recorded the vocals, and he was just like, a gem. Super cool. I didn't know what to expect. I'd never met him, and he came in and he's just smiling, and he was great. And then when I started recording him, he was singing. He goes, "Well, you're in control. What do you want me to do?" I'm like, "Oh, good, really?" And so I started, I didn't, you don't really know. Okay, how much can I push him? How much can I, And it just worked out really well. Actually, it worked out really well. I mean, he was, like you said, great. You got to obviously work with him. I mean, I was just one day, and we hung out and we talked probably most of the time. He sang and then we sat here, and he just sat right back here, and we talked for, I don't know, a couple hours just shooting the shit. I go, man, this guy is super cool. And a great voice. What a great voice. And
unbelievable.
Yeah. No, he's really awesome. And I was going to say too, he was actually for a long period of time, I was doing a lot of sessions and bouncing around and doing the gigs, and I started to get kind of burned out because I wasn't having fun anymore. And it was sort of like dead inside for many years. I just went through the motions, and when I met him, and this, not just him, but the rest of the band, the vibe and everything was great, and I sort of got the fire back. So that was sort of a turnaround
cool.
period for me, thanks to him.
Well, who else was in the band?
Dave Bates. It was Dave Bates on guitar, and it was him and Robin formed a band, and then Bob Pays was the second guitar player who was also our engineer, and then we had a couple of different drummers. So yeah, cool guys. We had a great time.
So drummers seem to be a hot topic tonight. We got a question for both of you from Mark Rodman. It says, "Did you guys ever have trouble keeping drummers in your bands?"
Drummers and bands.
I don't know about you, Robbie, but I think like drummers and singers are like the hardest thing to find and find good ones, and the people that aren't too crazy.
Yeah, something about drummers seem to be a little bit nutty sometimes. Not all of them, of course, but I mean, for me, my early days, it was like drummers, lose another drummer. I mean, when I first started, of course, we didn't have a singer. That was the whole other thing, is when we finally started getting singers, and then it was the same kind of deal. It's tough until you find the right guy.
Yeah, right. Absolutely.
So they're just a different bird, that is what you're saying, right?
You know what? Not all of them, but yeah, they just seems to be for the most part. Seems like, you know,
Yeah.
it's a little trickier.
I don't know if I didn't have the experience of drummers being quitters as much as it was, or if they quit, it was hard to find a replacement because it's hard to find really, really solid, really good drummers. And I think as a bass player, you tend to be even more picky about it because you notice quicker than everybody else if there's any faults, or if the guy's not locking or his meter's off or something like that, and it's very, very frustrating. So, and in my opinion, is probably the most important guy in the band. If you don't have a great drummer, it's really difficult to make anything of it. So.
Foundation is that floor, man. Without the floor, everything above it is just sloppy mess. I mean, it doesn't matter how good you are if you don't have a foundation.
Yeah, and it's really like dictates how well I play bass too. If the drummer's amazing, I can play really good, but if he's not amazing, it's impossible for me to play good. So it's more dictating than any other musician in the band, of how I'll play, how bad or good or bad I'll play.
So if he's out of the pocket, you can't get in then, right?
It's really impossible. I don't care if you got John Paul Jones on bass. It's not going to happen.
Right. Sarah McNamara says they are the bus driver, and sometimes they get ran over by the bus too.
Yeah. Or oil spotted.
Oil spotted, right?
Let's talk about Yngwie, shall we?
Sure.
Matt, your microphone. What's going on with your mic? It's.
I have no idea, but we'll try to fix it after the show.
Okay.
Have no clue. Hello, 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 hello.
All right, we'll deal with you. Go ahead.
All right.
Yngwie. What was your Yngwie question?
All right, so they want to know, how was Yngwie? Was he easy to deal with? Did he have a good temperament about him? Was he friendly? Because there's a mixed opinion, and they want to know what you got out of it.
I get that question a lot, and yes, he was great. I never had any issues with him. I think he never. We got along great. He's a funny guy, easygoing, and. Also, but when I got in the band, I knew that I was getting into a band it's his thing, and you don't argue with him about how something should be.
Right.
And I was fine with that. I knew what I was getting myself into, and I had no problem with it. And I liked his music, and I like him as a player, and he's a funny guy. He's a great guy to hang out with. So it was a fun journey for me. I had a lot of fun playing with him, and he was very cool and very, like he would never. I mean, rare that anybody in the band, because they were really all great players, that anybody would make a mistake. But if anything went wrong or keyboard broke down or something, he wouldn't even turn around. I mean, that's how much of a pro he was. He wouldn't look at somebody weird if they played something different one night or made a mistake. He would just, And that's rare that you get that from, unfortunately, from people. Like, you get too many people that will turn their head, and it's I don't think it's a cool thing. But yeah, so and he would never. I think one time he told me how to play something. He would walked over and he's like corrected one note out of 28, and I don't even know what he was talking about. But I'm like, okay, but he never told me how to play or complained or anything. I never had any issues with him at all. So,
who was on drums when you played with him?
It was Patrick Johansson. So, not related to Anders, by the way. You would think they were. Both funny, great funny guys. So
this was early 2000s. Is that when it was, or?
It was 2007 to 2012.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
yeah. You know Barry Sparks, because Barry had played with him in '94. I think
right.
Barry. Yeah.
He's Arizona guy. No, I don't know him personally. I don't even remember if I maybe met him briefly once, but I don't know him personally at all.
Oh, okay. Yeah. He grew up same hometown, and I was at his first Ingve gig. It was a NAMM show when he got the gig. Mike Tirana was playing drums and brought him in. Didn't even meet Ingve. Went in and played. And Barry's a great player, so he obviously just lit up. But then he went out on tour with them and jumped from there to Michael Schenker and on and on. Some of the same players you played with, Yuli John.
Right.
So a lot of the same.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's funny how he got the gig that way, because that's the way I got the gig too. I got called a gig at a NAMM show, no rehearsal, nothing.
Oh wow!
Really?
I had met him before. I jammed with him once at one of the sound checks one time when he was playing in the LA area a couple of years before. So he knew how I played and stuff like that. So I was at a sound check actually because I was friends with the drummer, and the bass player went to the bathroom, and the drummer told me to grab the bass. And Ingve asked me, what song you want to play? I said, let's do Far Beyond the Sun. They're like, are you sure? I'm like, yeah, sure. Because I knew it, I learned it when I was like 16 or something. So I knew the song.
Cool.
And so from there, but yeah, so I played, 10 songs, something like that at the NAMM show, and no rehearsal. And
nice.
Then that's how I got the gig too. So
wow, that's funny. The same
that was my audition,
Right.
Yeah,
maybe that's
pretty much if you could do that in front of 2,000, I mean, it was only probably a couple of hundred in the room, but like, people watching the screens and all that stuff. You can play in front of all that many musicians. You can do anything.
Right. Okay.
Wow. Good. So who were you most nervous to play with?
Well, that was probably my most nervous moment, was that show with Ingve, like not without any rehearsal or anything like that, or one of them. Well, who was I the most nervous to play with? I can't say it was Ingve. I was pretty comfortable playing with him for the most part, and if I wasn't, it had nothing to do with him. It was probably I just material might have been new or something like that, or it was a comfortable situation musically and the band and all that stuff. I don't know, to be honest with you. I mean, there's been moments with various bands where, it could be also like you're in a band and people can make you nervous by, they're complaining or something about something that you're doing and, picking on you.
Yeah.
Right.
That's probably the worst thing that anybody could do, I think. You'll make somebody play worse if you do that.
Yeah, they're hazing or doing whatever.
Yeah.
For me, I'll definitely get nervous if I'm running late. If I'm coming in late, I start getting so nervous. It's just like, it's so hard. I like to be there and, focused. You walk in and you're like, I got to set up or whatever,
Yeah.
I don't know if that does it. Yeah. Now, what about with McAlpine? McAlpine seems I've never met him, but he seems like a really cool guy. He comes across as very
He's
cool.
a great guy. We're great friends, and I don't play with him anymore, but we're still good friends, and we still meet up from time to time and stuff like that. He was awesome to work with too. His music was intricate, and he had a lot of songs that were complicated, and so there's times where I was, especially if there was something was new or at the beginning of the tour or something like that, I get a little nervous sometimes. It's parts were very specific, and maybe some of his songs weren't like structured the same way. Like Ingve's songs, for example, were very structured in a way where I didn't have to think so much about what's coming next. But like as far as a Tony McAlpine song, if you don't know it 100%, you can't be shooting from the hip. You gotta know the stuff inside and out, or you'd be in big trouble.
Wow.
So
Veronica wants to know, what is your most memorable moment on a stage?
Most memorable? Oh, I don't know. That's a really good question. I don't think I remember my second show with the Quiet Riot. We're playing. I think it was Phoenix, Arizona, actually, and all of a sudden the stage goes pitch black, and I had just learned a song, so everything was new. And so I couldn't see anything. So I'm playing and it was so loud I couldn't really hear. So I was playing a half step off.
Oh shit!
And the light they go back on after about 30 seconds, and I see the whole band turned around. And I couldn't hear that I was off because we were very really loud. Turned out the lighting guy was hammered. He was really drunk. We came to find out later. So it happened a few times that night. The stage would just go pitch black for a minute, and then you had to find a knob together.
Wow.
So that was quite memorable. But yeah, I had a few moments. Was that?
Did
you guys have fun with it, or?
Well, not half step off. He didn't.
They were quite pissed at him. Frankie and Kevin after the show. Obviously, they were unhappy.
Right.
That was with Kevin singing.
How was his singing?
No, I'm saying that's with Kevin singing. You were with.
That was with Kevin. Yeah, it was. Kevin, Frankie, and Carlos actually. So it was.
Wow.
Yeah.
No kidding.
Yeah.
No shit. That's the shit right there.
That's cool. Yeah. Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
Absolutely.
And Frankie, what a monster drummer. I loved his drumming.
Yeah.
We did shows with him a couple years ago, and I was like, my God, this guy is just, man, he's just, there's something about his drumming that was just special.
Yeah. And he's got other sides to his drumming too, where he, when he kind of leans away from rock, he gets into these dynamic, really cool, funky grooves and stuff like that. And we were doing a fantasy camp together about maybe 4 years ago. And we'd start jamming and stuff and having a lot of fun. Stuff that we never really did back in the day when we played. We just kind of got up on stage and played the songs, and that was it pretty much. But yeah, he was great.
Now, how about Uli? Talk about Uli a little bit.
Uli's great. He's different. He doesn't necessarily like to have a pre-planned set list, and he likes to improvise, which I actually enjoy. I like, so it suited me really well playing with him. It was a lot of fun, He's a great guy.
Super legendary.
Funny guy too,
yeah.
Don Sweet wants to know, what is your favorite song that you wrote or co-wrote?
Ooh. Oh my God. I think it's a song it hasn't come out yet. It's a song called Shout that I wrote. Actually, didn't co-write. I wrote everything myself on this one. But,
wow.
I like co-writing with people. It's cool. But yeah.
So when is it coming out? Do we know?
That's a good question. I don't know. We haven't decided. Pretty soon.
Yeah.
All right. You got to get a copy to me so I can play it on Jack FM for you, brother.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. All right, Cora, have you written a song about a past or present lover?
I don't write a lot of love songs, to be honest. Something I kind of tend to avoid because it's so common. I think I have nothing. I have nothing against it, really. I do, actually. There's one song, and she doesn't know it, and but it's not really. I can't say it's a hate song, but it's about an ex.
Nice.
It was written when she was soon to be ex, but
right. We'll leave it as that, right?
Yeah,
that's funny.
It wasn't really. I can't say really. It was really a hate song. It was more. I think it was more about me and how I was feeling, and not so much necessarily about how So. But yeah,
right.
She doesn't know who she is, so it's okay.
We'll leave it at that then. She doesn't get the props.
Right.
All right. John Miller said, "Damn it! Thought he was going to get some goods on someone there." All right, so let's talk about your website, brother, because you've got a pretty kick-ass website here.
Oh, thanks.
Let me see if I can't get to it. You've got a store here that people can go to, and you got T-shirts. And all kinds of cool stuff, some pics and so on. So it's bjornenglen.com, as you can see here at the top of the screen.
Yep.
But
give me 1 second. I'm going to show you something. We got coming up here.
some of those are the best. It's funny because I was thinking that I had a song that I'd written for an ex called "Get Out." when we were splitting apart, it's like "Get Out."
Get out. So Vernon says she must have been a drummer.
Yeah, I got these pick packs coming up on the website pretty soon. Oh, the wrong way.
There we go.
There you go.
So, oh, cool.
There you go. Hang
just
on.
haven't put them up. There
oh, sweet. Get it a little closer to the camera. That's cool.
Let me see if I can. Yeah. There you go.
There you go.
Cool.
Oh, those are badass, dude.
Thanks. So yeah,
badass.
Backside actually.
I'm gonna have to get some of those.
Oh cool. Wow.
Yeah.
So they're available.
Oh, was that the pick guy? Was that the
pick guy?
Yeah.
Pick guy. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll put them up on the site. I just haven't got around to it, but
yeah, I do for sure.
Nice looking pics.
Thank you.
And then you got to get us that single when it comes out, man.
I will for sure.
Because we got to promote the hell out of that, dude.
Cool.
The hell out of that.
The hell out of it.
What's that? I thought it was funny that they said your ex must have been a drummer, the one that you wrote the song about.
A bad drummer?
Well,
she was a drummer.
I don't think she ever. No, she wasn't. No.
No, she wasn't.
No. She. I think she tried playing drums, but she's not.
Oh.
But,
oh.
As far as I know, she might be now.
All right. All right, my brother. I can't thank you enough for joining us tonight, my friend. Honestly,
my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
It's been a pleasure with you. And we look forward to bringing you on again and hearing that single. Let us know when that drops, man, so we can get it played.
Will do, for sure. Absolutely.
Thanks so much for hanging with us, my
friend.
Well, thank you, guys.
Great seeing you. It's been a while, probably since
I know, right?
Since NAMM. I was like, oh, it's not going to happen this year. So,
right. We're hanging the COVID way. I mean, this is good practice, I think, for the whole world to do what I think the future is going to be regardless more and more. So it's
right.
Yeah, I think now that they've seen the ease of everybody working from home and all of that, I think it's going to be a lot more acceptable moving forward. So
absolutely, and the fact that people realize that, whoa, I don't have to sit in traffic for 2 hours every day, back and forth to work, and companies saving on overhead and all that stuff.
Yeah,
right.
I definitely agree with you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, my brother. Well, keep your head up, keep rocking, and hopefully we can get you back onto a stage soon.
We'll do. Absolutely.
All right, buddy.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks much.
Yeah, we'll talk to you soon.
Oh,
right on.
I clicked it. All right. Sorry, brother. I clicked fast.
The fast clicker.
I am a fast clicker. So we've
one of the best shows yet, Cora says. All right, Cora.
Oh yeah,
great
dude.
show again. Belinda.
He kicks ass.
We live it. Michael. That's my brother, Michael. Because there's a J there. Thanks, Jessica. Jessica says thanks.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Very down to earth, very pleasurable to talk to, very inviting.
At least we see each other this way, she says. Silver says, you're right. We do. I mean, it's something.
What's that?
It's something we get to see each other this way.
Right? Yeah, absolutely. So who do we have next week, Robbie?
Next week, we're going to have Keith St. John.
Keith St. John.
Keith St. John. I know that Atsuko wants to see that because she's a big fan of Keith. Keith will be cool. Keith will be cool. Get some good stories out of him. I've chatted with him at length about stuff, so I know there's a lot to talk about.
Right, absolutely.
A lot of interesting stuff. A lot of times you hear stories that you just wouldn't hear otherwise. It's kind of cool.
Right. Well, let's say a special thanks to our sponsors, Backbeat Music, Full Spectrum CBD, and Media Jaw. Also going out to Kim and Brad. Our hearts and thoughts and prayers are with you in this time. Brad said she's resting. She'll watch the show tomorrow. So stay positive. Everybody's sending positive vibes your way, and you will beat this. Keep hanging in there. So,
yep,
absolutely. All right. Well, let's do it again next week, shall we, my brother?
We shall do it again next week. Well, we do something Thursday on the cusp too, probably.
We do, my brother. We do absolutely. So I will post that tomorrow on who we're doing Thursday night. and we'll see how that turns out. And hopefully we
start getting your Twitch together, right?
Yeah, you gotta start working on Twitch, guys, because we are moving the show to the Twitch platform. We just met with them today, had a conference call or a conference Zoom call, and it's definitely taking place. We've got all the bugs ironed out and figured out how we're going to do all this. So we will be eventually moving the show over to that platform altogether.
I think to start, though, we might be doing both, right?
Yeah, we'll be on both.
Yeah.
Actually, we're broadcasting on Facebook and YouTube right now. So,
and we'll continue doing that even when we go to Twitch, correct? For a while, they want us to kind of just shift over, but it'll be good. I think the Rams channel is going to have a lot of interesting stuff. In fact, I probably might do some what they call master classes on there for some guitar playing. I'll probably do that. Drake might do some stuff because separate from the show will remain in its time slot, but pretty concise to the hour. We can't go over the hour when we're on there. They're
right
at an hour.
We'll be sharing that link, Jeanette, just as soon as we have it. But you can get on there and check out the Rams channel once it comes up. Rams stands for Rock Against MS, and it's a big deal. And it's a what would you say, donation charity-based platform to help in the fight in the study against muscular sclerosis. So it's a fantastic thing. Robbie and I are pleased to be part of it, and we hope that that's where we end up. So till next week, what do you say? We're out of here?
Yep. Everybody have a good night, and we'll see you soon.
We'll see you Thursday. Love you all for joining us, and we'll see you then.